and welcome to Milwaukee Labor Fest. We are so thrilled with today's program and to be back after 2 years with no Labor Day celebration. Brothers and sisters, it is so exciting to have such distinguished guests with us today. We have a really wonderful program for you. You're going to hear from our stalwart labor champion, who always stands up for Milwaukee, Congresswoman Gwen Moore. Our governor, Wisconsin's Tony Evers. He's done so much to protect essential workers and is still striving to restore our labor rights in Wisconsin. You'll also hear from AFL-CIO President Liz Schuler. She broke the glass ceiling this summer and immediately set an exciting goal of organizing at least 1 million new workers into unions in the next decade. We're also going to hear from two of my union brothers, laborers, U.S. Labor Secretary Marty Walsh and Local 113 member Eduardo Marquez. You are in for a real treat. And our big honor of the day, President Joe Biden. A great friend of workers. He's here with us today. From the bold move he took 20 minutes into his presidency when he fired the NLRB General Counsel who was trying so hard to destroy unions. 20 minutes into his presidency, he took action on behalf of workers and unions. To keeping his campaign promise on infrastructure, $1.2 trillion in investment. He took action to protect retirement security, protecting the multi-employer pension plans. I know my Teamster brothers and sisters fought really hard for that, and we thank you for that. And you know you saw them in the electric F-150, promoting electric vehicles made here in America. We have so much gratitude for the actions he is taking to create good jobs and encourage union growth. He's taking the bold moves that we need in a leader, and he continuously comes down on the side of workers. Now back to that organizing goal for a minute. When that plan was revealed at the AFL-CIO convention, it was music to my ears. I work in the organizing department for the Labor's International Union of North America. There are organizing drives happening in all types of workplaces in the Milwaukee area. So everyone who wants to grow the union movement here, let's get on our feet and show our IBEW union sister that we are ready to stand up and make that goal a reality. And please welcome AFL-CIO President Liz Schuler. Okay, come on, organizers, we can do this. Back to that organizing goal. Everybody who wants to grow the union movement here in the Milwaukee area, on our feet, and let's show our IBEW union sister we stand ready to make that goal come true. Please welcome AFL-CIO President Liz Schuler.
Hello, Milwaukee Labor Fest. How you doing out there? Happy Labor Day. Let's give a hand to our Wisconsin AFL-CIO President, Stephanie Bloomingdale, first woman to lead the state federation. And I want to thank Pam, who just introduced me, who's leading our Milwaukee Area Labor Council. And we're so proud to have Pam and Mark and Michael and Ross and others who put this event together because they are laboring on Labor Day to make this happen. So thank you so much. That's right, give them a hand. And I don't know about you, but I can't think of better people to celebrate Labor Day with than all of you here in Wisconsin with incredible champions for working people. And you know who I'm talking about. Our Secretary of Labor, Marty Walsh, who is a card-carrying union member. We got your governor here. We got your congresswoman here. We have our president, the most pro-union president in history, President Joe Biden. And I'm so proud because this administration puts working families front and center in everything they do. Just look at the victories we've just had in the last year alone. Infrastructure bill, right? What about the CHIPS Act? And how about the Inflation Reduction Act? Student loan forgiveness, the list goes on and on. These bills are going to change working families' lives. They're going to create new jobs, good union jobs. They're going to make prescription drugs more affordable. They're going to clean up our environment. We're going to lift the burden of debt. And those are victories that were won because of your activism, your organizing, and your hard work. And on Labor Day, we are here to celebrate those victories and all the progress that working people have made across decades of hard work to create better lives for ourselves, our families, our communities. And we've been fighting for safer workplaces and a stronger economy since our inception, haven't we? All right. And just like this administration, we deliver results. And that's why unions are more popular than ever. Did you hear this last week? There was a poll that came out that said that 71% of the public supports unions. And that's because this president is not afraid to say the word union. That's right, and we're seeing this all across the state, all across the country. Working people are recognizing the power we have when we join together and form unions. And we've seen that right here in Wisconsin, haven't we? Milwaukee Art Museum, nurses at the UW Hospital, workers at Collectivo Coffee and Raven Software. And they're not alone. They're not alone. I've been traveling all across this country, and I'm seeing workers rising up all across this country. We've seen organizing drives by nurses in Coral Gables, Florida. Right to Work State. We see REI workers in the Bay Area, sheet metal workers and painters in Alaska and Louisiana, aircraft mechanics in North Carolina, researchers at Mount Sinai Medical School, auto workers, hotel workers, architects. Even cannabis workers are organizing unions. That's right, it's inspiring. so now our job is to take that momentum and go all in on this election. That's right. So we can protect our pro-worker majority and keep building on those victories, especially here in a critical battleground state like Wisconsin. And we have just 64 days left, folks, to put in the work. Are you ready to put in the work? That's what I thought. That's what I thought, because you do it every single day, because you know what is on the line. So much of the progress we fought for, so many of our fundamental freedoms are on the line. Our democracy is on the line, and elections matter, folks. That's right. We're gonna fight to protect the freedom to organize. We're gonna fight to protect the freedom to beat back unfair pay and unsafe workplaces. We're gonna fight to protect the freedoms across all of our sectors of the economy, especially when it comes to health care and our retirement benefits. And we're gonna fight to protect the freedom to vote and have our voices heard. Well, the stakes are high, folks. You know that. But working people are launching the greatest organizing drive in history to protect our rights and our democracy. And our Labor 2022 plan is going to use the power of organizing to reach working people wherever they are. And you've been doing this face-to-face conversations. That's what we need, folks, to break through the noise. Are you ready to do that? That's right. We're going to take that. We're going to take that network we have that's unique and no one else has in this country, and that's the labor movement. We're in every zip code, and we're going to turn up the heat. We're going to turn up the volume to 11, and we're going to organize. We're going to elect Governor Evers. We're going to protect that. We're going to protect his veto power by electing pro-worker candidates in the state legislature. We're going to elect Josh Kaul, Attorney General, to defend our democracy. And we're going to send Mandela Barnes to the Senate to fight for you in Washington. I was going to ask if you were fired up, but I hear you. You're fired up. That's right. We're going to do all of that together. One united labor movement with working people across communities all across the state. Thank you for the work that you're about to do and the work that you have been doing. So let's keep organizing, folks. Let's keep fighting. Let's keep winning. All right, and now it's my pleasure. It's my pleasure to introduce Congresswoman Gwen Moore, who is a fighter for working families. Thank you, Congresswoman Moore.
Brothers and sisters of labor, the House of Labor. Hey, I love you more. Let me just tell you something. Working men and women of Wisconsin. The last few years have really been tough, haven't they? Hey, but I'm here to report that Wisconsin is strong. That's right. With the incredible leadership of the Milwaukee Area Labor Council. Oh yeah. Headed up by a woman, Pam Fent. And the clear-eyed vision and stewardship of the best governor ever. That would be Tony Evers, the best governor ever. people in Wisconsin are once again at the table and leading the transformation of Wisconsin back into being a 21st century economic leader, with the beating heart of revitalization being a strong public education. Thank you, Tony. Oh, yeah. Modern infrastructure and respect for workers in the form of decent health care and fair wages. Thank you, Tony Evers. Oh, yeah. Tony Evers helped us get out of the doldrum that we were experiencing from that other governor. That's right. Whose name will not be spoken in this place. But you remember what happened. That other governor, we were lagging economically and educationally. Somebody who wanted to destroy the Wisconsin idea. Remember when the cars were swallowing up your cars in the Scotty holes? Remember that? Loosening your teeth fillings when their idea of jobs was to give billions of dollars and tax breaks to a union-breaking foreign company to dig a giant hole in the ground and call it the eighth wonder of the world. Remember that, y'all? Ain't gonna mention no names. There have been challenges along the way. There are gonna be more. But Democrats and labor have prevailed, and they're meeting these challenges for the people of the state. And we are those people. The fruits of this leadership, look around you, y'all. With increasing wages and jobs, decreasing inflation and gas prices, we are modeling what the power of labor still is. And we're modeling it, oh yeah, by showing the diversity. I just want to mention once again, I already talked about Pam Fent. And y'all already met Liz Shuler, who's the president of the AFL-CIO nationally. But we ain't playing. Some of the other people here is our state president of the AFL-CIO, Stephanie Bloomingdale. We ain't playing, y'all. We ain't just talking. And I'm telling you, we're gonna keep on doing what we're doing, because one of my favorite women providing leadership in this state is United States Senator Tammy Baldwin. Oh yeah. Woo! And we're gonna send us some help, y'all. Our marvelous Lieutenant Governor Mandela Barnes is going to join her in the United States Senate. Oh, yeah. Now, as your representative, this is my day to report what Democrats have been doing in Congress. Oh, yeah. I'm going to keep it straight because there are a couple of other speakers here. Some people y'all might know a little bit that will go into further detail about this. We're going to hear from the Secretary of Labor. And there's some guy named Joe that's going to come out here and talk. But I'm on the tax committee, the Ways and Means Committee. So I want to talk about some of the stuff I did so y'all will re-elect me. I'm running. I may as well campaign. Democrats, and I say Democrats because, you know, I know some of y'all may be nonpartisan, but it was Democrats who delivered COVID relief. and reduced child poverty by 40%. It kept businesses operational. It was Democrats on the Ways and Means Committee that saved the Central States pensions for your brothers and sisters. Oh yeah, and all of our legislation, we protected Davis-Bacon. Y'all might hear about some of the stuff in the new infrastructure bill, building the roads and bridges and commercial capacity necessary to put the U.S. back in leadership seat in the global market. One of our representatives from this region called them socialist roads, socialist bridges. Oh, well, they'll be riding on them too, making money. And guess what, Labor? We have created a pathway for state-certified apprenticeship programs through this legislation as well. State-certified apprenticeship program. And oh, wait a minute, stop clapping. By the way, the person heading up the Big Step program is also a woman, Lindsay Bloomer. We ain't playing, y'all. We ain't playing. So that when we replace these pipes, this lead paint with the money that we brought, we are putting diversity into the program. There's even money in these bills for the most needy people, people of color, people who are living near these contaminated sites. And we're gonna not only create jobs, but we're gonna clean up hazardous conditions that poison our children. And don't forget the veterans, y'all. We passed the legislation after shaming Republicans for voting against it for those veterans exposed to toxic burn pits. We have enacted legislation to address inflation, high-tech microchips jobs, bringing them back to U.S. shores, and to help our domestic supply chain. We delivered on legislation, I'm gonna get through this fast, to reduce inflation, make corporations pay their fair share, stem the scourge of climate change, immediate threat to our planet and our life on this planet. And we did it while lowering the healthcare costs for seniors. Yep. And reducing the deficit. Oh yeah. Made in America is back, y'all. And I'm telling you, President Biden demanded it, Governor Evers fought for it, and Tammy Baldwin, Gwen Moore, Mark Pocan, Ron Kine, in this state, we delivered it. Just like DeMail Scott. I know you up there somewhere, Scott. We delivered it just like DeMail. And we delivered DeMail too. Yes, we did. You know what, y'all? I'm gonna end this speech right now. Labor unions created the middle class. And so I'm gonna tell you, y'all gotta listen to Pam Fent. When Pam Fent calls you up and say, we need canvassers, I want y'all to say, yes, ma'am. Say, yes, ma'am. When Pam Fent calls you up and says, we need people to drop literature, you're gonna say, yes, ma'am. When Pam Fent calls you up and say, we need GLTV calls, you're gonna say what? And when you don't feel like doing any of that because you're too old, too busy, too cute, too rich to do that, When Pam Fink calls you up and say, gives me some money, you gonna say, we got a lot of work to do, y'all, in these next 60 plus days. But we're gonna let President Biden know that he can count on labor in Wisconsin the way we've always counted on him. Come on, y'all, let's win the battle of the 21st century.
Massachusetts, and he's a rank and file member of the Laborers Union, Local 223 up in Boston. I see some laborers out there. And he grew his leadership and his activism, and he made it as a card-carrying union member into the state legislature and took his voice for working people up to Beacon Hill, where he was fighting for us day in and day out. And then, look what happens when you're a working person who runs for office. He became then elected mayor of the city of Boston. Again, being our eyes and ears, looking through the lens of working people, as he made policy and fought for working people as the mayor of Boston. Then what happened? Well, the President of the United States said, you know what, I need someone like Marty Walsh in my cabinet. And he made him the Secretary of Labor of the United States. And let me tell you what a difference that's made to have our Secretary of Labor walking picket lines with working people, to be settling strikes with working people, day in and day out, looking at what is on the horizon, what can he be doing more of, how can he bring the voice of working people into the government of the United States of America. He's co-chairing with Vice President Harris a worker empowerment task force looking at ways to leverage the federal government to grow unions in this country. That's never happened before. So I am so honored to introduce to you our Secretary of Labor, my friend, Martin J. Walsh.
Thank you very much, Liz. How about a round of applause for the first woman president of the AFL-CIO ever in the history of the United States of America? And I was just backstage with your governor, Governor Evans, and we were talking about working people, and we're talking about all the great things, which I'll talk about the governor in a minute. To all the local elected officials that are here, thank you very much for being here today. I was a local elected official, a state representative, a mayor, and that's where it happens, on the ground. So thank you to all the local elected officials here today. To the Wisconsin AFL-CIO and Stephanie, thank you very much for all that you do. Wisconsin AFL-CIO, send a message around the country here. And to the Milwaukee Area Labor Council, Pam was up here a minute ago. Thank you, Pam, as well, and the Labor Council for all your great work. To all the labor leaders that are here today, union members, families, working families, all the kids that are here today, thank you very much. This is such an honor, and I want to wish you all a very happy Labor Day. And to be honest with you, this is my first time doing Labor Day outside of my city. I was always going to the breakfast in Boston, and I always bragged about the crowd, but I gotta be honest with you, don't tell them my sister's back in Boston. The crowd doesn't compare to this crowd, Wisconsin. And it's an honor, honest to God, it's an honor as a union member to be here with all of you today. My dues are paid up, I promise you. And to be here with the President of the United States of America. And I just want to say, I've been around lots of different presidents, and I've been involved in politics for a long time, and we don't have anybody. There has never been a more pro-worker, pro-labor president in the history of the United States. And that's President Joe Biden, that is our champion for working people all across this country, in every neighborhood, from the East Coast to the West Coast, from the North to the South. And I know this is the first time I think we've been together, like maybe we were together last year a little bit, but not like this. And I just want to take us back on a little back in memory a little bit. 2 years ago, Labor Day 2 years ago, millions and millions of Americans, actually 10 million Americans, were out of work. The pandemic was completely out of control, and there was no plan on how we're dealing with the pandemic. People were only getting through. Workers who were essential workers were keeping us moving, many of you here today. Schools weren't open. The economy was in concern, in flux. There was lots of challenges. President Biden took office, he took the oath of office, and he swore that he was going to get Americans back to work and get schools reopened and turn this economy, move this economy forward. And the very first thing the president passed was the American Rescue Plan. And that plan was able to get our economy open, our businesses open, our schools open, and by the way, preserve multi-employer pensions for those of you out here today that are having challenges. And also other things, giving money back to cities and towns all across America to make sure they're able to move forward. And that was a big deal. And if that's all the president did in his first year, in the first 2 years, that would be fine. But what did he follow up with? He said he's going to get an infrastructure bill passed. $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill. The last administration talking about infrastructure every day didn't pass it. This president did in his first year, $1.2 trillion, with worker protections in there and creating opportunities to get into the middle class. And we're seeing those dollars distributed all across our country in roads and bridges and broadband access, electric charging stations, clean drinking water. Our kids are drinking out of lead pipes. That's not going to happen anymore in this country. And if that's all the president did in his first 2 years, we'd say that's a successful presidency. And then the president followed up with the CHIPS bill. And the CHIPS bill was the fact that we're dealing with inflation today. And part of the reason why we're dealing with inflation is because all our manufacturing jobs over the years got shipped overseas. And we invented a lot of what we shipped overseas. And the president said, we're going to pass this bill, the CHIPS and Science Act, and we're going to bring American manufacturing back to the United States, where it belongs, in states like Wisconsin and other parts of the country, to make sure that we're making investments in those places. And by the way, it's going to create thousands of good jobs, thousands of good union jobs all across the United States of America. And if that's all the president did, then that's a really successful first 2 years. And then not too long ago, a couple weeks ago, the president laid out a plan because he said inflation is hurting American families. He knows that, he recognized that. And we're doing everything we can as an administration to move forward, but he said we need to do more than that. And the Inflation Reduction Act that was passed is bringing down costs to families. It's cutting our deficit. It's going to help us win the clean energy future. It's going to create good jobs. And all of that in that bill alone. You've heard a lot of elected officials talk about bringing down the cost of Medicare, Medicaid. This bill does that. You see a lot of people talk about bringing down the prescription drug costs. Our retirees out there, your pension plans, your retirement doesn't cover your health care costs. It doesn't cover your prescription costs. But the president made sure that your prescription costs will be under control by this bill in many other ways. And he didn't raise 1 cent of tax on working class people. And that's what President Biden stands for. Since the president's taken office, we have recovered every single job lost during the pandemic, and we've added more. We've put strong worker protection in place, from preserving and protecting prevailing wages, to project labor agreements, to rescuing our pension plans, to health and safety for our frontline workers. And we are backing every worker's right to organize. So if somebody wants to organize a union in their workplace, they should have the free and fair right to be able to do that, and there should be no obstacles. They should have the same benefits as most of us have here. Now, I get criticized sometimes for being too much of a labor person. And that's okay, because I wear my labor union membership as a badge of honor. And I'll tell you what this president and this administration means to me. It means everything to me. Because when I was growing up, my father had a chance to join Laborers Local 223 in Boston as an immigrant from Ireland. My father had a chance and my mother had a chance to live the American dream because the union was able to allow us the opportunity to get into the middle class and live that American dream. I followed my father into that union. I spent my entire life working with you and fighting alongside you for working people. And I just want to say to you, we have never had a president who gets labor like this president does. We've never had a president that backs the labor movement like this president does. And we've never had a president that's creating good opportunities and good jobs and rebuilding the middle class like this president does. Today, we have leadership in the White House, we have leadership in the labor movement, and we have leadership in the workplace, many of you all across this country, where workers are fighting for their rights to join a union. And I want to say to you, brothers and sisters, it is such an honor to be here today. I want to thank you for just allowing me to come on this stage. I want to thank you, Mr. President, for allowing me to be on the stage with you. I am so proud to be a union laborer here in Wisconsin, here in Milwaukee, celebrating today. I don't think the United States of America has ever had a better Labor Day than today with all that's been done in Washington by this president and this administration on behalf of working people all across the United States of America. And we can't forget that. And when he gets out here, let's remind him that we appreciate the work that he does. Now, I hope that I didn't take the steam out of the next person who's coming to this microphone. And if I did, I'm sorry, Governor, for doing that. And I have the great honor of introducing your great governor here in this state. I've had a chance to spend some time with the governor a couple of times. And I know I met him I've seen him at the White House. We've been talking about things. And when you see somebody, you know somebody, and you get a chance to meet them as labor people, you know who's who's being real and who's not being real. And you can tell that this governor certainly believes and supports working families and believes in good jobs. He believes in small businesses. He believes in lowering costs for families and the challenge that families face. He believes in apprenticeships and job training. He believes in workers' rights for all workers. Unlike some of your former governors here in this state, who decimated the rights of public employees, by the way, and we know that. Governor Evers not only believes in workers' rights, he fought to make them a reality. That's the kind of leadership that every state in the country needs right now. So ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, no need for an introduction. I'm proud to introduce to you your governor of the great state of Wisconsin.
Secretary, for that kind introduction. And I'll just say this, I'm going to go off script for a minute. I am the only candidate for governor who has actually bargained for a public sector union. The only one. Hello, Labor Fest. It's great to be here with all of you as we celebrate holiday and everything Wisconsin workers and union leaders do to make Wisconsin strong. I have to thank Secretary Walsh, obviously, for that introduction and everything you're doing to support working families across the state and country. Happy to have you here today in our great state. I also want to welcome AFL-CIO President Liz Schuler, and of course, our own Stephanie Bloomingdale. Great leaders. One of the great honors in being governor of Wisconsin and seeing the determination, ingenuity, and drive of our laborers firsthand. Workers deserve to have a seat at the table, and when they do, everyone is better off for it. Union laborers helped create the middle class in the state of Wisconsin and created standards for workplaces, Social Security, minimum wage requirements, and more. And I will say this very slowly. I made union trades essential during the pandemic because I knew that Wisconsin unions would keep our workers safe and get the job done. Thank you so much, trades. Thank you. We've been able to accomplish this together to help our working families and our state succeed. You know, I fixed the damn roads because for too long our infrastructure has been unfunded and not prioritized. We've repaired nearly 5,000 miles of highway, 1,500 bridges, and a whole bunch of Scott holes. Remember those? I invested more than $150 million in filling jobs and expanding job training and apprenticeship programs. Also, workers are keeping more of their paychecks thanks to a 15% income tax cut that I signed. These investments in Wisconsin workers are working. Today, we are at a near record low unemployment and one of the highest labor force participation rates in the country, and that just doesn't happen by accident. This happens because we've been doing the right thing to grow our economy, but we can do even more to fill jobs and connect workers with good-paying, in-demand jobs across the state. Just this last week, I directed funding to help prepare more than 1,400 Wisconsin students for a wide range of high-wage, high-skilled, and high-demand careers. And that's why we're using and finding regional solutions to give more Wisconsinites the opportunities to achieve their dreams. And we're going to keep working, moving Wisconsin forward together. But we can't do this alone, right? Just by the folks here in Wisconsin. Fortunately, we have a president who understands the challenges facing working families and willing to work with us to find common sense solutions. And that's why I'm pleased to welcome President Joe Biden and our next speaker, Eduardo Marquez from Labor's 113. Eduardo has been a laborer since 2014, and we're so grateful for the hard work and dedication of folks like him across the state. You know, we need to bring people together, something that's not always easy to do in Madison or Washington, D.C., to give working families like Eduardo's the support they need to succeed. President Biden has been an important, very important partner for states across the country to direct recovery funds to our schools, our economy, and public safety. He hasn't forgotten that working families matter, not just on Labor Day, but every single day of the year. So please join me in giving a warm Wisconsin welcome to President Joe Biden and Eduardo Marquez.
This is awesome. Thank you. Good afternoon, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen. For those who don't know me, I'm Eduardo Marquez. I'm the A little bit about myself. I'm the youngest of 7 to immigrant parents, born in Chicago, where my father was a union carpenter. That's where I was introduced to construction and hard work. I moved to Waukesha when I was 20 years old. I've been a member of Local 113 since 2014. I started as a mason tender, all under the building trade. Some responsibilities are to build scaffold, operate the hydro lift, and rough terrains. All of this I was trained and certified in our Union Training Center in DeForest, Wisconsin. I've been working for a local contractor, Findorf, since December 2018. They made me a foreman and offered me additional training, supervisor training program. This year, I'm proud to say I began to run jobs for Findorf as a project superintendent. Right now, we're building a children's clinic. I'm married with 3 sons. Thanks to the union wages and benefits, my wife was able to be a stay-at-home mother for 6 years to raise our boys. I'm also proud to say that she returned to work last year, and that extra money is also awesome. I know that President Biden pushed hard for the infrastructure bill that would create so many jobs for laborers to repair our bridges, water system, and many other things. And now we have a great agreement on a solar field. Hundreds of laborers will be part of clean energy future. I'm so proud and honored to stand here today and say thank you, President Biden, for looking out for workers and our families. Ladies and gentlemen, President Joe Biden.
Hello, Milwaukee. My name is Joe Biden. I am Jill Biden's husband. And I want to start by saying any child under 12 years of age deserves a little extra ice cream or something for doing this. This has got to be the most boring thing in the world for you, honey. But we're going to work something out for you, I promise. Folks, if you have a seat, don't hesitate to take them. Well, thank you, man. Well, you know, I think this is getting to be a pretty good year for a Labor Day. Eduardo, thank you for that introduction. It's great to be with Governor Evers, Representative Gwen Moore. Where's Gwen? There you go, Gwen. I love you, kid. You've been there every step of the way when I've needed help as president. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And Mayor Johnson, where's Mayor? Where's the mayor? There you go. You got those 2 beautiful girls in the sun. I tell you what. You got to tell your girls, you got to be patient with we dads. We're hard to raise. We're hard to raise. And where's the county executive? Stand up, big guy. I think these 2 guys spend all their time in the gymnasium. They look like they're in too good a shape. I want to thank Tammy. She couldn't be here today, who's a champion of working people and always there. You know, and the same goes for Lieutenant Governor Mandela Barnes, who couldn't be here, but he's going to be your next United States Senator. Oh, he is. And I want to thank Liz Schuler for her fearless leadership of the AFL-CIO, and thanks to Pam for your leadership of the AFL-CIO here in Milwaukee. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Where is she? Back here. Okay, there you are, Pam. Okay, I wonder where everybody's sitting. And how about actually having a union guy as the Secretary of Labor? I tell you what, if you're going to be in a foxhole, you want Marty in there with you. Now, you may have trouble understanding when he starts talking about car bonds and other garages and he talks kind of funny, but he knows what he's talking about. I promise to be the most pro-union president in American history, and Marty's keeping me make that promise. And by the way, the reason for that, I've had this conversation with the Business Roundtable and all the major chambers of commerce. It's not just that I think that it's important that people get a shot. But look, the reason why businesses should be hiring labor folks is simple. You're the single greatest technicians in the world. You're the best laborers in the world. You build the best product. No, I'm not just joking. I'm not just saying that. But people forget, a lot of the trades, they forget. You go to 4 or 5 years of school, you're an apprenticeship. It's like going back to college. It's not like you all of a sudden just step in. You build a better product, it lasts longer, and it's cheaper for the business, and it's better for the country. Look, folks, Labor Day is a special day in the country and here in Milwaukee. This is one of the biggest Labor Day events in America you all have here. And it's a special day to me as well. Because the fact of the matter here is I wouldn't be here without unions. Unions. Electricians, iron workers, letter carriers, teamsters, laborers, bricklayers, transit workers, plumbers and pipe fitters, steel workers. I wouldn't be here without cops, firefighters, teachers, nurses. I wouldn't be here without painters, pilots, auto workers, custodians, carpenters, grocery store workers, steel metal workers, and so many others. That's not a joke. That's not a joke. I got elected when I was 29 years old with the United States Senate and with a state that had recently been right to work. You know why? Because union labor endorsed me and fought for me. So the bad news for you all is I'm here because of you. Look, the middle class built America. Everybody knows that. But unions built the middle class. That's a fact. That's a fact. Look, folks, I believe we're at an inflection point in American history. I really mean that. It comes around every 5 or 6 generations. Well, inflection where one of those moments where everything's changing. Everything's changing. And we're going to have to ask whether we want to be a country that moves forward or backwards. We're going to build a future or we're going to obsess about the past. I've said many times, we're the only country in the world that's come out of every crisis we ever faced stronger than we went in it. No other nation has done that. And we do it because we've been a nation of unity, of hope, of optimism. Not a nation of division and violence and hatred being preached by some others. I want to be very clear up front. Not every Republican is a MAGA Republican. Not every Republican embraces that extreme ideology. I know because I've been able to work with mainstream Republicans my whole career. But the extreme MAGA Republicans in Congress have chosen to go backwards, full of anger, violence, hate, and division. But together, we can and we must choose a different path. Forward. No, I really mean it. We have to. A future of unity, of hope, of optimism. We're going to choose to build a better America. A better America. There's no question it's been a hard few years, but we've come a long way. Today, COVID no longer controls our lives. More Americans are working any time than all of American history. Last year, more people applied to start small business than any year in history. But it didn't just happen. We never gave up. We never gave in. And we are delivering for working and middle class Americans now. Now. Nearly 10 million new jobs, more jobs than ever been created at this point in any presidency in history. Wages are up. Unemployment remains near a 50-year low. And the big reason for all this is the American Rescue Plan that I signed into law shortly after taking office. With the help of your Democratic members of Congress, that's how we got it done. Not one single Republican vote. The plan took America from economic crisis to economic recovery. And here in Wisconsin, your governor and your mayor of Milwaukee use that money like it's supposed to be used. Keeping city workers on the job in the face of rising costs, keeping streets safe by fixing streetlights, training 130 new firefighters, helping hire close to 200 more police officers. Not a single Republican voted for that. Not one single one. Every single Republican in Congress in this state voted against that funding. So let me remind you, no, I really mean it. Let me remind you, what else is in that American Rescue Plan? A thing called the Butch Lewis Act. Now look, for too long, most Americans don't know what that means. Those of you who have been driving trucks from factories to stores, bagging our groceries, building our buildings, bridges, roads, so much more. And with each paycheck you earn, the employees put money into that pension plan. But some companies didn't set aside enough money to pay for those plans. And as a result, hundreds of pensions, 2 to 3 million workers and retirees were going insolvent. Millions of retirees are at risk of losing their retirement security through no fault of your own. So with the American Rescue Plan, we passed the Butch Lewis Act to protect pensions all of you work so damn hard for. Pensions you sacrificed for. And retirement would be a little like losing your Social Security and your Medicare. It's one of the most significant achievements union workers and retirees, for union worker retirees, in over 50 years. And I'll say it again, not a single Republican congressman voted to protect your pensions. Not one. And by the way, I know a lot of them wanted to vote for it. They're afraid of losing primaries in this new Republican Party. They also passed once-in-a-generation investment in our nation's roads, highways, bridges, railroads, ports, water systems, high-speed internet. Folks, your governor's already repaired over 5,000 miles, 1,500 bridges in Wisconsin alone. Just a start. We will, when this is over, have the best infrastructure, not a joke, in the entire world. The single best in the world. And that means jobs. No, that means jobs. That means we continue to lead the world. You can't do it without the best ports. You can't do it without the best airports. You can't do it. I'm not going to go on, but the point is, you can't do it. Right here in Milwaukee, it's estimated 40% of the homes still have lead service water, lead pipes for their water. Because of the infrastructure law, this city is receiving millions of dollars to replace those lead pipes, to make sure families have safe drinking water. Your child shouldn't have to worry about turning on the faucet or going to school, going to the water fountain, and worried about any kind of lead in the water. Look, it's the biggest investment in America since President Eisenhower's Interstate Highway Act. And we made sure the infrastructure law included significant labor protections. For example, the majority of the funds in the law are subject to Davis-Bacon. And it's not just because I wanted to help unions. It's simple. You're the best in the world. That's not hyperbole. No, that's not a joke. You really genuinely are. You just don't decide you want to be a pipe fitter or an electrician. It takes you 4 to 5 years of hard work, the apprenticeships. It's like going to college. You're the best trained workers in the world, and you deserve to be treated that way. And by the way, those of you who know me, no one ever doubts I mean what I say. The problem is I sometimes say all that I mean. I've made the same comments to the Business Roundtable, to the Chamber of Commerce. They understand it. They don't want to pay it. They understand it, though, because it's true. I also signed the Chip and Science Act, a groundbreaking law. Will once again manufacture semiconductor chips that power every day, everything, our smartphones, dishwashers, automobiles, national security stuff, right here in America. Guess what? We invented it here. We invented it here in America. By the way, the reason why last year, inflation was so high, you know the biggest reason? Cost of automobiles. You know why they cost so much? They didn't have the computer chips to make the automobiles. Folks, here in Wisconsin, Senator Baldwin made clear that you're ready to take advantage of this law. With world-class universities and a workforce that knows how to manufacture projects here in Wisconsin. This law is going to create tens of thousands of jobs in America, bringing billions of dollars of investment here in America. Well over $100 billion investments in America, revitalizing American manufacturing. Where is it written? Where is it written that says America can't lead the world in manufacturing? Where does it say that? We've exported too damn much. In fact, next week I'm going to Ohio for the groundbreaking of a multi-billion-dollar semiconductor manufacturing plant. The company is Intel. It's one of the largest investments of the kind ever. They're putting $20 billion in as a start. It's going to create thousands of jobs, thousands. 7,000 construction jobs just building the facilities. 5,000 permanent jobs for blue-collar workers who will make $125,000 a year in those jobs. And by the way, if you take a look, manufacturers all over the world are coming to the United States, from Korea, from Japan, from all over the world. Why? You know why the head of the outfit out of Korea told me they're coming here? Because we have the safest environment and the best workers in the world. That's a fact. We do. I'm not just saying this, this is real. Look, folks, it means we're going to build the future in America, with American workers, in American factories, using American-made products. Look, something most people don't know, but you guys out there in this audience know. 15% of our military veterans become union workers when they leave the military. 15%. How many veterans out there? Holler out. You got it. In my State of the Union address, I put forward what I call the unity agenda, including taking care of our veterans. Look, we have a lot of responsibilities, but only one sacred responsibility, not a joke. And I mean this from the bottom of my heart, and I've said it from the first day I entered politics. We have an obligation to equip those we send into harm's way and care for them and their families when they come home, both their families. Especially our veterans have been exposed to toxic burn pits like my son, those pits the size of football fields, 8, 9, 10 feet deep in Afghanistan and Iraq. I was in and out of those countries over 35 times in the middle of these wars as vice president. That incinerate wastes of war, tires, poisons, chemicals, jet fuel, so much more. A lot of people like my son had their hooch just probably 300, 500 yards from those pits. You could smell it, you could inhale it. Well, guess what? These poisonous fumes which came, people came home with headaches, numbness, dizziness, cancer. I just signed what's called the PACT Act to take care of these veterans who need medical assistance and to provide for their families when they are gone. For God's sake, it's the least we can do. It's the least we... Well, I'd love you too, kiddo, I'll tell you. Look, like I said, I believe we have a lot of obligations. We have a lot of obligations, only one sacred obligation. That's to take care of those vets we send overseas and when they come home. No, I know, but I really mean it. And as I said, I just signed into law a historic Inflation Reduction Act. It wasn't easy to take on big drug companies, but we did. I've been fighting them since I got in Congress 180 years ago. You know, we pay more for prescription drugs in the United States of America than any major country in the world. Here in the United States. Okay? There's no reason for it. For the last several decades, many of us have been trying to fix the problem. But for decades, Big Pharma tried to block giving lower drug prices for those on Medicare or anywhere else. For decades, Big Pharma won year in, year out because they owned chunks of the Congress, because they had to help, like your senior senator, Ron Johnson, who said, no, I want to say what he said. He said he opposed lowering drug costs because it would result in punishing the pharmaceutical industry. Bless me, Father, for I have sinned. I mean, come on, man. Not this year. We beat pharma this year. We beat pharma this year, and it mattered. We're going to change people's lives. We finally beat pharma. Now Medicare will have the power to negotiate lower prescription drug prices. We can guarantee no senior will have to pay more than $2,000 out of pocket for their drugs for the entire year, no matter whether the bill is $50,000. No more than $2,000, period. And if you're on Medicare and you have diabetes, your cost of insulin will be capped at $35. And by the way, there's a reason for that. You know how much it costs them to make and package the insulin for diabetes? $10. 10. Any of you you need that insulin, or your children need it, you know what it costs. It costs you somewhere between $650 and $1,000 a month. It's outrageous. Well, guess what? We also had in this bill of mine, we also had a provision that affected people who weren't on Medicare. But because of the leadership of your senior senator and others, it got defeated. But I'm coming back and getting it. Imagine, think about this. Imagine being a mom or a dad. I mean this from the bottom of my heart. Imagine being a mom or dad with a kid with type 2 diabetes, knowing you need that insulin, and you don't have the insurance. You can't pay for it. I'm not joking. Think about it. Think about how it'd rip your heart out. It's wrong. It's simply wrong, and we're going to end it. It costs $10 and you can make 35 if you want. That's it. For decades, the biggest corporations, and by the way, I know corporations. I come from the corporate state of the world. More corporations are incorporated in Delaware than every other nation, every other state in the country combined, okay? So I can write a doctorate on corporations. So it's not like I'm anti-corporation generically, but I do think everybody should pay their fair share. And by the way, look, for decades the biggest corporations, the wealthiest Americans have fought to block a fair tax code. Republicans passed a $2 trillion tax cut, mainly benefiting the wealthiest corporations under the Trump administration. By the way, increased the debt by $2 trillion. Well, guess what? In 2000, 55 of those corporations earned $40 billion in profit. They didn't pay a single solitary penny in taxes. And wealthiest Americans, of those 700 plus billionaires in America, you know what their average tax rate is, federal tax? 8%. They pay more taxes than any one of you, fewer taxes than any one of you pay. It's not right. No, no, I mean, this is, it's just outrageous. Well, guess what? Guess what? I wasn't able to take care, anyway. If you're a cop, a teacher, firefighter, steel worker, a miner, you pay double that federal tax. It's just wrong. But this year, the American people won. Now big corporations have to pay at least a minimum tax of 15%, at least. The days of billion-dollar companies paying zero, they are over in America. And they know they can afford it. And while we're doing this, we're actually reducing the federal deficit. You know, they talk about responsible debt. The last guy left me with a giant deficit. Well, guess what? In my first year, I reduced the deficit by $350 billion. And you know how much? You know how much I'm reducing the deficit this year? $1,500,000,000 reduction in the deficit. And by the way, just by dealing with allowing Medicare to negotiate drug prices, it means Medicare doesn't have to pay out that many tax dollars to buy them. That alone is going to reduce over time $300 billion in the deficit. You would think the Republicans really cared about reducing inflation, they'd vote for the Inflation Reduction Act. But every single Republican in the House and Senate voted against it. Every single Republican in the House and Senate. Now, I admit some of them voted against it. They thought it made sense, but they couldn't let Biden, quote, have a victory. It's not my victory. It's the American people's victory. In spite of the fact that while doing all this, we lowered the deficit by $1.5 trillion this year. Here in America, every single Republican voted against lowering prescription drug prices, against lowering health care costs, against protecting your pensions, against lower energy costs, against creating good-paying jobs, against a fair tax system. Every single one in the House and Senate. Every one. And one thing more. When Franklin D. Roosevelt signed the National Labor Relations Act, when it passed in the 30s, he didn't say it was okay to be a union. He said in the act it says we should encourage unions. Encourage. Well, I'm encouraging unions. That's what I've been doing from day one. It includes for public service sector workers in Wisconsin as well. Today, support for unions in this country is higher than it's been in nearly 60 years. Think about this. You guys know the numbers. Unions have more support today in America in public opinion than any time in 60 years. It's a key way to building the economy, to grow us from the bottom up and the middle out. I'm so sick and tired of trickle-down economics. I come from a family where my dad worked hard. He worked like hell. We lived a decent middle-class life. We lived in a 3-bedroom split-level home in a development that was as the area was growing, with 4 kids and a grandpop. I sometimes wonder, anyway, I wonder, it was great for us, but those walls are thin. But all kidding aside, we did fine, no complaints. We did fine. But here's the point. The biggest contrast from what MAGA Republicans, the extreme right, the Trumpies, they want to go to Congress. These MAGA Republicans in Congress are coming for your Social Security as well. Now, by the way, as I said, you might think I'm making some of this stuff up. It's so outrageous. But here's the deal, guys. The Republicans, read the Republican campaign plan, the Senate campaign they put out this year. Go online and read it. Senator Rick Scott of Florida heads that campaign committee. It's all in black and white. I'm not making it up. You can go online and read it. They want to require Congress to vote on the future of Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid every 5 years to decide whether they continue. No, every 5 years. They get to vote to change, to cut, to reduce, or entirely eliminate Social Security and other things. How does that make us feel? Knowing you guys, and then along, you know, remember that song, Along Comes Joan? And then along comes Ron Johnson of Wisconsin. He's arguing that 5 years is too long to wait to savage these programs people depend on. He wants to put Social Security and Medicare literally in that chopping block every single year, treated like any other appropriation. Let me remind you, you paid for your Social Security Medicare. Taken out of your paycheck from the time you're 18 years old. The same guy who said, he's the same guy who said if Republicans get control of Congress, they're coming after the Affordable Care Act again, denying health insurance to anyone with a pre-existing condition. That's the only reason they're able to get it. The only reason they get, if they have a pre-existing condition, the only way they can get insurance is because of the Affordable Care Act. That's not a joke. This guy never stops. But guess what? I ain't stopping either. Folks, you and I, we offer a starkly different vision for this country. A vision of a fairer, more decent America. One where everybody has a fair share, where every American is treated with, my dad would say, with dignity. The economy that works for work, not wealth. Let me close with this. We're at a serious moment in our nation history, and it's not I mean it from the bottom of my heart. As I said last week, we remain in the battle for the soul of America. By the way, all right, God love you. Let him go. Let him go. No, don't let him go. Let him. Look, everybody's entitled to be an idiot. No, everybody's entitled. Okay? Look. Extreme MAGA Republicans don't just threaten our personal rights and our economic security, they embrace political violence. Look, the reason, I'm not talking all Republicans, I'm talking about these extreme MAGA Republicans. Think about it. Think about it. The definition of democracy is you accept the will of the people when the votes are honestly counted. These guys don't do it. Name me a democracy in the world where a leader argues to engage in violence. To this day, MAGA Republicans in Congress defend the mob that stormed the Capitol, and people died later. Senator Johnson said it was, by and large, a peaceful protest. Have you seen the videos, what happened that day? Listen to the stories of the members of both parties of Congress and the jeopardy they were put in. Cops attacked and assaulted, speared with flagpoles, sprayed with mace, stomped down, dragged, brutalized. Police lost their lives as a result of that day. And the MAGA Republicans and your senior senators said it was a peaceful protest. Folks, you can't be pro-insurrectionist. I'm being deadly earnest now. There's no democracy where you can be pro-insurrection and pro-democracy. So when I say the democracy is at stake, I mean what I'm saying, literally. You can't say you support law enforcement and call the people who attacked the police on January 6th patriots. This was an attack on American democracy and all we stand for. Imagine if you go home this afternoon, turn on the television, and saw several thousand people storming the British Parliament, knocking down the doors, threatening their lives, trying to overthrow the election of the new prime minister, and people dying. What would you think? No, I'm being deadly earnest now. Honest to God, what would you think? You'd think this is not a democracy. Well, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. This is why in this moment, those of you in this country Democrats, Republicans, and mainstream Republicans and independents. We have to be stronger and more determined and more committed to saving American democracy than the MAGA Republicans and that guy Alcantara are destroying democracy. Because democracy is at stake. We got to remember who we are. We're the United States of America. There's nothing we can't do if we do it together. God bless you all, and may God protect our troops. Thank you, thank you, thank you.